6 weeks ago, I was laid off from my job, and I'm gonna stop living with my boyfriend. But there are so many things that would have to take place for that miracle to happen.
Sweetie, can I talk to you for a moment? I'm hiring for a position in my home. I need someone to help my 2 grandchildren. Have you ever been a nanny?
So, a single father trying to raise 2 kids all by himself.
Sitting anyway, like.
He does have this high-sedity girlfriend, Chloe.
This is my...
His future wife. Well, why doesn't she spend time with the kids?
She touched me with her gold digger hands.
Do, re, mi.
My late daughter-in-law, she swore by the acoustics in this room. Quentin would play the piano and she would sing.
Nobody touches that piano.
No one sings in this house anymore.
There's so much love inside of you. But you've been withholding it.
You were with her all day?
She's here to get close to the kids.
And you're falling for it.
Life isn't fair. And no matter what you do, bad stuff is still gonna happen.
Sometimes you just have to know that God is gonna make everything okay.
I was so locked into the pain of the past that I couldn't see the future.
You think you're just gonna waltz in here with your singing and Quentin's just gonna fall for you?
Montana.
The holiday season is upon us once again, and many are making plans with family and gathering their favorite holiday movies to watch. This year, you will be able to add another movie to your collection, The Sound of Christmas, starring R&B artist Ne-Yo. Written and directed by Booker T. Mattison, and executive produced by Thresher Ezra Smallwood's Megamind Media. The Sound of Christmas is a film adaptation of The Replacement Wife by best-selling author Tiffany L. Warren. I'm excited to have on the line as my special guest, the writer and director of this film, Mr. Booker T. Mattison. Mr. Booker T. Mattison, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
You've done many films, but for those who are listening that don't know, who is Booker T. Mattison?
I'm Booker T. Mattison. I'm a screenwriter, a director, an author, a professor, a father, and a husband. So I had, what is that? Is that 5 jobs, 6 jobs?
That count sounds accurate, but I'm sure you have it all balanced out. Mr. Booker T. Mattison, let's get into your film. Tell us more about The Sound of Christmas.
Sound of Christmas, it premieres exclusively on BET Plus on Thanksgiving Day, November 24th. It is an adaptation of the novel The Replacement Wife, written by Tiffany L. Warren. And it's the story of an out-of-work music teacher who is about to be evicted on near Christmas. And she takes a nanny position with a widowed billionaire and brings love and music back into their home. It's a pretty exciting story, inspired by The Sound of Music for any of your listeners who have seen that classic Hollywood musical.
Okay, so there's a musical feel to this film.
Yep, it's a musical, and it features original music written and produced by Grammy Award winner Jonathan Reynolds, Myron Butler, and of course those songs are performed by Ne-Yo and Serayah, who are the leads in the film. So it's pretty exciting with really good music.
I'm sure writing and directing takes a lot of work. What motivated you to do this film?
It's a great question. I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I've been making films now, I don't know, over 20 some odd years. And prior to this film, which is my first feature-length film, I had made several short films. So as a filmmaker, the goal is always to make bigger and better films. So, you know, I don't know, there's an inspiration to make this movie per se, as much as taking advantage of a wonderful opportunity to tell a great story and making a feature-length film, which will hopefully in turn lead to me being able to tell other stories. In particular, you know, adapting my own novels into films and or television series that I've written myself.
Wow. So how long did it take you to write this film?
That's an interesting question if I think back on it, because if you're talking about writing it, the actual script itself is one process, but before we even got to the script, the first thing I had to write was a treatment, which is essentially a synopsis of what the story is. And that's a common step, whether you're doing an adaptation or an original film. But in this particular case, it was crucial because you're talking about a novel. So you have to now take this novel and turn it into a film. So it's two completely different art forms, a movie and a book. And in between those two is a screenplay. So when you do an adaptation, it necessitates changing some things, adding some things, combining some things. Because when you read a book is what I call a complete art form, meaning the author writes the book and the reader has it, and then they read it, and that's the end of the relationship between the reader and the author. A screenplay is an incomplete art form because a screenplay is simply a blueprint for a movie. So, with the treatment, I was working very closely with the author, Tiffany Warren, who's actually a really good friend. So, me being an author like she is, my first objective was to really capture the heart and the spirit of the novel in a way that she was pleased with. So, wrote the treatment, and how long did it take me to write the treatment? I'm probably grasping for straws here. I would say that treatment maybe I took three to 4 weeks perhaps to write the treatment, and then to write the screenplay itself. That initial draft probably took me 6 weeks, but then once a production company and or a network gets involved, then there's drafts that you have to go through. So that itself probably took a couple of months. I mean, I was doing rewrites literally up until the eve of shooting. So all said, from beginning to end, from treatment to final script that we shot, maybe 8-9 months perhaps, and that's me guessing, but around 8 or 9 months.
Where was this film shot? Were there multiple locations, just one location?
We shot it in Atlanta, and then in particular, we shot everything in the Cascade neighborhood in Atlanta, which interestingly, it was a neighborhood that I wasn't familiar with, that everything would be contained in Cascade, because when I wrote the script, I had things happening in Stone Mountain and all over Atlanta. But with a 12-day shooting schedule, it's just not possible or realistic to think that you can be moving all over the city and get all the shots that you wanted. So we shot everything in the Cascade neighborhood in Atlanta. And an interesting note about that, in the novel, the mansion and the billionaire family is set in Buckhead. And, Buckhead, most people are familiar with Buckhead. It's a pretty exclusive part of Atlanta. But Cascade is a black affluent neighborhood with mansions and black people living in them. So I wanted to change that to Cascade in the script rather than Buckhead. So that's actually mentioned in the story.
Interesting. So who are the cast members of this film?
Well, it stars Neo, Grammy-winning recording artist, Serayah, who you may have seen in Empire, Black Mafia Family, Kingdom Business, Drea Michelle. Jamal Bryan actually has an appearance as well. He plays a bishop, Roxanne Mims, and Elijah Kai, and Blake James. Those are the principals. Oh, and then Jennifer Sears. This is a really, really wonderful cast. I'm really excited for everyone to see how those players came together and created something magical.
Very nice. So how did you choose your cast?
That's a great question. As it relates to the leads, the principals, Neo, Serayah, and Drea Michelle, Ron Robinson, the producer that I mentioned before, he was instrumental in casting those three principals. And then the other characters, you have a casting director, and George, really wonderful casting director. And he George Pierre. Almost every black TV show and movie that comes through Atlanta, George Pierre is the casting director. You'll see in the credits. So George is well connected, and he would send videos of actors, and then I would choose. So it's a really wonderful way of collaborating and building a cast. It's a combination of the producer, the casting director, and the director.
So when it comes to the storyline and our characters, what do you feel is the most interesting?
Well, it's a fairy tale, and it is indeed magical. And we all love fairy tale. So we were trafficking in whimsy and magic, through how we lit the film, how the characters are dressed. So it's a really beautiful holiday a fairy tale, as it were. And also, one of the themes of the film is that just because you're having a difficult time or suffering or going through difficulty doesn't mean that you can't have a Merry Christmas. So there's a storyline in the film about cancer. It's a part of the story. And, it's important for me to promote that message, because everyone at Christmas isn't happy. Everyone at Christmas isn't having a great time. Some people may be racked with pain or illness or mourning the loss of a loved one. However, despite all those things, you can still have a Merry Christmas despite the challenges you may be facing in life.
I'm pretty sure being on set, you're dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different things. Doing a filming of this movie, did anything weird, crazy, or funny happen?
Weird, crazy, or funny? I don't know about weird, crazy, or funny, but what I can say something that was particularly exciting. So, if it's a musical, obviously you have songs that are part of the film. So we were in the recording studio recording the original songs the day before we started shooting, which is fun. I mean, it's good to be in the studio and to hear and see Neil and Serayah do their thing. And then also Blake and Elijah and Roxanne, they're all singers. So they all came to the studio to sing. And so, because, we have to have those songs recorded, because when we're on set recording those scenes that the songs are a part of, you actually record that much in the same way that you do with the music video. And, what you do is, you call playback and the music is played, and then, the actors will sing there, with the music playing, and they sing it. So the songs have to be pre-recorded. So that was fun being in the recording studio, particularly since I used to be and aspired to be a rapper and a producer. So, I always loved going in the recording studio. I hadn't been in one in a very long time. And the songs are great too. I mean, Jonathan Reynolds and Myron Butler really, really did a wonderful, wonderful job writing and producing the original songs. And as is the case with any Christmas movie and musicals in particular, the hope is that each year people will sing those songs. And we certainly hope that it's the case with The Sound of Christmas.
This sounds like a great movie. Even the trailer looks amazing. When will this movie be released?
Thanksgiving Day, November 24th. It'll premiere exclusively on BET+. It's a BET+ original film. So please tune in. It's the type of movie that you can watch with your entire family. You can watch it while you're eating dinner or after you're full and stretched out on the couch. Give it a look. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, and you touched on my next question. What platform will this movie be available? And I believe you mentioned the streaming platform BET+, correct?
It'll premiere on BET+, and then in December it will be on the BET television channel. So okay. I of course I want people to watch it either on BET+ or on the BET channel. However, I encourage you to watch it when it first comes out, because with the streamer there are no commercials, so you get that full movie-going experience without the interruption of commercials. But of course, hey, we love commercials because they pay the bills.
You hear that, listeners? No interruptions if you're using the BET streaming platform, BET+. So, Mr. Booker T. Mattison, is there anything else you want to share with our listening audience?
I think that, what is most exciting about this film releasing on Thanksgiving Day is, that for me, this is my debut feature-length film, so it's very timely, and I thank God that it's like, okay, after all these years of waiting and preparing and doing, the fruit of that is Thanksgiving Day. So it's extraordinary. I'm filled with gratitude that on Thanksgiving Day, this movie will come out.
The movie The Sound of Christmas will be released on Thanksgiving Day via the streaming platform BET+. If you're not currently subscribed to this service, there's still time.
Oh yeah, one last thing. If you don't have BET+, you can sign up for a 7-day free trial to watch The Sound of Christmas and other great original programming. So hop on that BET+.
Well, that's definitely a plus.
Oh, the pun intended. Thanks so much.
Thank you again for being a guest today, Mr. Booker T. Mattison, and we look forward to tuning into A Sound of Christmas on Thanksgiving Day.
Thanks so much for having me.